Hey, welcome back to Puck and Stuff, boys. Today we will be talking not about puck, but some other stuff, aka NFL news, with my boy T Dog.
Yo, what's going on, everyone?
Well, our first topic of the day will be the coaching changes in the NFL right after the playoffs started, and we have the Broncos, the Bears, the Vikings, the Dolphins, Giants, and Texans all getting rid of their head coaches.
That's a lot of teams.
That is a lot of teams, but honestly, out of all the teams on this list, that's like probably every team on this list needed that change 100%. Because if you look at the Broncos this year, they weren't. If you look at the Broncos, they really didn't even have such a bad year. They looked pretty decent on defense, even though they got rid of Von Miller, one of their star linebackers they've had for years. They traded him to the Rams, which was really kind of a shock to me, but their QB questions kind of all over the place. But overall, this team doesn't look that bad. So seeing the coaching change was much needed. And then if you also look at the Chicago Bears, they finally got a good potential star in Justin Fields at QB, but other than that, the team was just kind of all over the place this year, ending up, I can't remember exactly what they finished in the standings, which if you just give me a hot second, I can double check that.
The Bears make sense.
Bears make sense to me, 100%.
Because they've been kind of mediocre for
A long time,
a
too.
long time.
Long
It's
time.
funny how
So they actually finished 6-11 this year, which is like the NFC North. The only dominant team in that division is the Packers.
yeah,
You see the Vikings that
Easily.
are 8-9. You got the Bears that are 6-11, and you had the Lions that are 3-13. And to be honest, each of those Vikings and the Bears got rid of their head coaches, which was much needed, I believe, because when you look at the Vikings as well, sorry, I'm just jumping all over the place today on this because I love football. But if you look at the Vikings in this situation as well, you have Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook and Justin Fields, a great offense. And honestly, injuries killed them on the defensive side as well because most of their stars were very injured.
Well,
this
that's
year.
not going to help you in the season, right?
Oh,
Especially
no.
when you have because that's the problem with football, right? Is most injuries are long term.
Long term or just career enders.
Yeah.
It sucks. You have to be
It's a
perfect.
dangerous sport when you really think about
Isn't
it. Right?
it weird to think that Tom Brady's been playing for since 45
know.
for a few years,
It's
man?
crazy,
That's
but some players only play 3 years, right? And I guess it depends on because you're probably more susceptible. First, say you're a running back. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. Quarterbacks, though,
so.
when you're getting sacked, man, there's some dangerous plays, right? When there's a bunch of bodies piling on you.
Oh yeah, there's a
take you
risk.
down.
There's a risk in every position. Surprisingly enough, there's even punters and kickers. It's very weird. It's a very weird sport. But for running backs, you got to realize running backs primes is a lot different than an NHL. Because if you look at it in a prime stack, it's obviously, once you get drafted, you're like 21, 22. You're obviously full built, in development, and your potential is going high through the roof. However, your prime in the NFL could be 25, 26.
Yeah,
And it could possibly end at 30. It changes
Similar.
with the potential age difference could change at any position.
It's a similar age range from the two leagues. However, the NHL most likely starts younger, correct?
Yes.
Most
Yes, the NHL does.
most NFL players don't start till 21. right?
21, 22, 23 is
Yeah,
usually what it looks
yeah,
like. Because my quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, I am a Bengals fan. Joe Burrow got drafted 24 years of age.
Yeah.
And that was his last year of college, which makes sense. And yeah, basically that's the rundown. So on my list here, I also have the Dolphins that got rid of their head coach, and that's the only one on this list that I actually am very questionable about, because showing of how the team was 9-8, and they're kind of,
So they're there. They have a few pieces to kind of mingle with.
but they're not all the way there. Obviously, the rookies are still kind of building up the confidence, and it's kind of shady over there. But however, I still don't think they should have gotten rid of their coach for sure. And the Giants and the Texans. The Giants needed to get rid of that. And same with the Texans, because the Texans ended up 4-13 this year, and that whole Deshaun Watson thing kind of ruined that quarterback back there. So
You let go of DeAndre Hopkins, and what happens?
literally.
Crazy stuff.
Yep, totally. And same with the Giants. Daniel Jones, I feel Daniel Jones is just not your answer. Like, they drafted him a lot higher than they should have in the draft, to be honest. And, yeah, you got a great running back in Barkley back there, but however, it's just not working for you. It's not. And they made a good decision by getting rid of George Judge, and now hopefully they can actually start doing something. 100%.
So who is like the most surprising team to you, good or bad?
This year?
Yeah, for sure. It's because there's a few teams. I think a lot of the teams are pretty consistent in what I think they were expected of for this season. I'll be honest. I think the Bengals are shocking
100%.
everyone.
Out of every...
No bias there, too,
No,
right?
no
It's
bias
like
or anything here as a Bengals fan, but of every team, like at the start of the season, no one thought the Bengals would win the AFC North. No one did. I could ask every person at the beginning of the year. No one thought it would be. They thought it was going to be Browns or Ravens, even though they finished at the bottom of their division.
It's the thing. You look at the record, 10-7, right? So it's
Very impressive.
It's not the prettiest.
Out of all the winners of the divisions?
No, for sure, right? Because I mean, when you look at like the Bucks and the Packs, both at 13-4, or you see like the Chiefs and the Rams are at 12-5, or the Titans as well. They're also 12-5.
They're the underdogs. They're the true dark horse of the playoffs, and
I think so as well.
You got a pretty easy win against the Raiders, even though they've been through the ringer of crap. So it's sad to see them finally go, but hey, I'm really proud of this team of what they're doing, and I am absolute terrified that Derrick Henry's back because that's who we verse tomorrow, and I'm a little bit scared.
It's a fun game.
It should be a fun game, but I'm scared.
You know, I gotta say this though. So the Bengals and the 49ers both have the same record, but to me, the Bengals, I am more confident in them going further than the 49ers.
Well, the 49ers do verse the Green Bay Packers.
They do verse
tomorrow,
the Packers, that's for sure. But I mean, they could also be the dark horse in this game too, right? Like, I don't think the Packers are not really that inconsistent in this type of round, but just wait till like the NFC final.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to be fun. But with that, I think Tristan and I will jump to our playoff predictions of the divisional round tomorrow. So our first matchups for tomorrow are going to be the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans. Tristan, I would love to hear your score predictions, and who do you think is winning this game?
Okay, so before I go into my prediction, I'm just going to say this. Like, I am not the biggest follower of football, and that's just because it's... If there's a game on, I'm most likely watching hockey or something else. So I'm not the biggest fan, so it's probably not the most educated guess, but I feel like I have a bit of knowledge that I feel like I can give a decent estimate. So what I said is the Bengals, we talking about how this team seems to be that dark horse, that underdog of the playoffs, and I agree. I think they win. I think they beat the Titans, crazy enough. I think the score will be 21-17. It'll be a low-scoring game, but I actually think that the defense will play a consistent role in this game. The thing is, with the Bengals, it's been nice to see how they've changed a lot through the season, right? They were, what were they? Were they 3-1?
3-1, and then they versed the Packers, and then they lost.
So it was a bit of ups and downs and stuff. But once Joe Burrow went from being too scared to throw long, he was always throwing short, but now he's throwing long. I mean, it's rewarding. Jamar Chase, their offense is crazy. Jamar Chase is easily one of the best wide receivers in the league right now, for sure. I mean, they got the running back Joe Mixon. And then they got from the tight end, like for example, C.J. Uzomah. They got a good offense as well, so they can definitely run the ball. Same with the Titans, right? Tannehill, he's got a good arm. Julio Jones and A.J. Brown there. Derrick Henry's back, right? So
I'm so scared
there
for
is
this
that
game
offensive
tomorrow.
pressure, and of course, their tight end Michael Pruitt. The thing is it's funny. I'm talking about their offense and saying, oh, right, and I'm saying all good things, but it's gonna be a low scoring game. I just think it's gonna be one of those games that there's not a lot of offensive
You think it's
results.
going to be a more defensive game?
I think it's going to be a defensive game, and
Really?
I think that's what the Bengals need to win it, but I think the Bengals do win it because Titans are not a team that you're going to go easy against, right?
Oh, 100%. So Tristan's kind of T-Dog over here is taking a little bit of a different turn than I am because I'm not trying to be biased here. I'm really not. But however, just seeing how the Bengals have played over the last 4 to 3 games, Joe Burrow looks confident. He has thrown like in 2 games just before playoffs, he threw 10 touchdowns and almost 1,000 yards. It was insane. And it was against the last 2 games. Well, about last 3 games because he didn't play in the last game.
Who were the last 3 teams that they played against?
The Bengals?
Yeah.
They played, so I believe it was the Ravens, and he killed it that game.
Okay.
And then they played the Chiefs, which got them the clinch. And they versed Cleveland at the end, which really didn't matter, to be honest. But
Still got the win.
Yeah, so my score prediction in this is Cincinnati 30 and the Titans 21.
So
and
higher scoring game.
So much higher scoring game because looking how Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have that connection and how they've been playing together, just it's a perfect connection and a perfect chemistry. And if they go off, especially with Derrick Henry coming back, which I am terrified for, I think the Bengals can beat the Titans. I think it will be one of the biggest upsets in the playoffs so far. And I got not much to say. If Joe Burrow comes up to play, it's over. I'm just saying it. And our defense with Trey Hendricks finally coming back after that concussion, that scary concussion against the Raiders, him coming back is a big key piece to the defense. And yeah, I think the Bengals might have this game. Tristan, I think we should jump to your favorite team, the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm considered a bandwagoner, aren't I?
No, I've known you long enough.
They haven't won much, Well,
they won a Super Bowl.
The reason why I'm a Packers fan is because one of the first NFL games I watched was the 2011 Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they played the Steelers there, and I picked the green team, and liked them ever since. But Packers and 49ers. Yeah, this is going to be a game. As much as this is I want to watch it because of the Packers and stuff. It's not the game that I'm most excited for. We'll get to that in a later. But you see the record here. Packers 13-4 dominated this season, right?
They've
49ers
10-7.
So they had a bit of an ups and downs too, but they still made it out. But I think the Packers do make it out. I think they win 27-20. I think it's a closer game. I think that the 49ers will give them a run for their money, as much as they definitely on paper are the Packers are the better team. But the 49ers to me are showing that they are not going to go out without a fight, because Deebo Samuel is a good receiver. You know what? And we talk about chemistry here. Jimmy Garoppolo and Deebo Samuel, great chemistry. I don't think it's as good as, in my opinion, the best chemistry between receiver and quarterback is Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. It's just crazy the amount of times I will watch Devontae Adams just slip through a pocket of 5 defenders. It's crazy. It is absolutely astonishing to see it's impressive, right? And of course, you have to have that accuracy as a quarterback to connect with your receiver, as well, right? Talking about running backs, Aaron Jones and then Trenton Cannon there. I think they'll have a bit to play with it. Like I said, it's a lower scoring game. I don't think that has too much to. I think the defense will definitely have a bit to play with it. But hey, well, you know what? I picked this, but let's just hope that it doesn't come to a field goal game, because Mason Crosby better not pull another.
He better not pull
Bengals
another
game.
one. He better not miss a few. That would be Tristan's biggest worry about tomorrow. So he will be watching that.
I think Packers are gonna come off of it. I think this is definitely Aaron Rodgers' last kind of stint with the Packers. So I think they're gonna go out with a bang for sure.
So I kind of went a different route on Tristan's favorite team, Packers, and I said that they would blow out the 49ers 35-14. I still believe that Deebo Samuel and Jimmy Garoppolo are a great chemistry. He's having a great year as a wide receiver, and Jimmy Garoppolo is proving that he doesn't need Trey Lance behind him to kind of carry that from the next step yet. He's still saying, "Hey, I'm here. I'm going to try." But however, that does not beat Aaron Rodgers, the unvaccinated GOAT. Let's be honest here, because Aaron Rodgers has had a killer year. It's either going to be him and Tom Brady for MVP, 100%, and I just don't see a real way to beat them unless their defense collapse, but that's even tough to see. So I have Green Bay 35, and I got 49ers 14. That's much I have to say. I think it's a blowout. So
Yeah.
I think we'll jump to our next game.
It really could go either way. That game. That
lot
game
of
could
these-
literally be like,
You got to realize most of these we could be wrong in all of these games.
Oh,
They could go
literally.
either or.
That's the
So
thing about football, man. That's what's great about it.
yep. So I think we'll jump into our first Sunday game, and it'll be the Rams versus the Buccaneers.
Okay, so for me, 13-4 Bucks versus the 12-5 Rams. So these guys are decently similar.
This is going to be a competitive game, 100%.
Oh yes, it will.
I think
You
this-
just look at the roster, man. I mean, some great wide receivers are Mike Evans, Odell Beckham Jr. You're right, and of course quarterback, right, Matt Stafford, and of course the
Vaccinated GOAT Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
You
love
never
for him.
bet
He's-
against him,
He is
though.
easily the best. He's crazy. So
At 45, he's still killing it, man.
honestly,
40 is he 45 now? I think he is.
40. Yeah, I think he's 45. or
I just want to
46.
double check,
That's
so I'm not
crazy.
just.
It's just been.
He's 44. Sorry, at 44. He's almost 45.
He's just been playing for as long as we've been born, kind of thing, which is crazy.
Pretty much.
However, talk about that team. I think that the Bucks are gonna try and get Brady another ring. So I think it's gonna be a 38-21 win. I think this will be a higher scoring game. Does defense play a big role in this? I think it will a bit. I think it'll keep they'll keep the Rams off the yardage score sheet a little bit there and all that. But I think the Bucks got this in the bag, to be honest.
Really? That's what you think.
I think, to be honest, they're gonna come close to at least going all the way again and stuff. But the Rams, though, you cannot. I'm not saying anything bad about the Rams, though, because they play a consistent game too. And
If Matt
they
Stafford
will-
doesn't throw a bunch of interceptions,
yeah,
then they're consistent.
exactly.
That's when it
Right.
truly matters.
you never know, right? It's one game.
Yep.
So what do you think, man?
So looking at the Bucks and the Rams, both teams are so good on defense. Like out of any game I look at on here, I see Bucks and Rams being the most defensive game. But however, I still have the Bucks coming out against the Rams 28-17. And it could go either way, but I've always been told you never bet against Tom Brady because you will get screwed over if you do. So hopefully I'm proved wrong. That would be great if the Rams move on, but I'm not going to bet against Tom Brady. So that's who I think wins. And even though most of his wide receivers with get Chris Godwin out for the season, that's for sure, and the whole Antonio Brown thing happened. We can't do anything about that. He's living his own life and doing his own thing now.
Maybe they lose the Super Bowl because he's not on the team. Maybe he was the key factor.
Honestly, I thought it was like I'm not going deep into the whole Antonio Brown thing, but he did show he still is a great wide receiver at the end of the day. He still proved he could still play, but it's just his mindset's different.
It's
Get him back
difference
on the
in the
meds.
locker room chemistry stuff, man. So it's okay. Hold on. So we've both had the same predictions 3 times here. So number 4. Okay.
Oh, the game of the night, in my opinion.
Yes.
The
so
game
this is
of
the
the
one
night.
that I'm most excited for. Bills and Chiefs rematch of last year.
Revenge tour for the Bills? Question mark.
Well, it's like you were saying how when the Chiefs won that game and Stephon Diggs was just watching.
He was
them,
watching.
like,
He was sitting after the game watching the celebration for next year.
It is a revenge tour. I'm so happy. I'm excited to watch this game. I legitimately think this game is going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be a close one.
Good.
It's going to be a
So
close one.
I want to know if we have the same thing here. Well, I guess just don't tell me until it's your
So
turn.
who do you have winning? Who do you have winning?
Okay, so the 11-6 Bills versus the 12-5 Chiefs. I have the Buffalo Bills win this game 42-39. I think it's gonna be an offensive slaughterhouse kind of thing, Defense might play a bit inconsistent in this game, but here's the thing. So the Chiefs had a bit of an inconsistent start this season. They made it up, right? It's funny because you look at the 12-5, right? But before that, I remember when they were below the 500 mark, and people were like, "What happened? What's happening to Patty Mahomes and everything? Is he getting too cocky?" Right? And they came back, but I think that the Bills have the confidence and they have the swagger this season to beat the Chiefs. I really do think. Josh Allen is easily becoming one of the best quarterbacks in this decade. Right, of course, the decade just started. However, I think he's definitely going to be talked to as one of the best of this decade. Talk about wide receiver chemistry. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, another great great chemistry. You know what's crazy about this? You look at all these teams making who are at this stage in the playoffs. These wide receiver quarterback tandems are really solid.
They're probably
Solid.
if you look at
crazy.
each one, each quarterback wide receiver tandem. Oh my God, they're like top. Most of these are top 5 in the league.
Easy. Like, I mean, even Patty
Easily.
Mahomes, Tyreek Hill kind of thing, right? Like, even there. So it's going to be a lot.
It's going to be a fun game, that's for sure. It's going to be a fun playoffs, that's for sure.
I just hope. I kind of want the Bills to win just to see a bunch of like
People
drunk Buffalo Bills fans just jump off a bunch of like buildings into tables.
Do you mean trucks? I'm not.
Well,
I
trucks,
really
yeah.
don't want to see people jump off buildings.
Well,
into
sorry.
tables.
Yeah, okay. I shouldn't say buildings.
Yeah,
I'm
that sounds
sorry.
bad. Okay.
But I should say like cars and stuff. So Bills fans are crazy, and I respect you for it because you have passion for your team, and I love it. And that's why I'm honestly rooting for the Bills in a sense. You know, I don't care who wins this game, but I think Bills fans, Buffalo sports fans deserve something. They really do. They haven't won a lot in a long time.
T-Dog, I'm really mad at you because you and I have basically the same prediction, and you also told me that we also have the same 3 straight like teams winning. So I'm going to change it up.
Are you?
As
Okay.
much as I really want the Bills to win, I think it's going to be the Chiefs.
You think the Chiefs, huh?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. The Chiefs had a really weird start to the year.
They did.
They had because their defense was just not there. Like, it was awful, and Mahomes was just getting. It wasn't Mahomes. Mahomes was just off, and I don't know how.
It wasn't Patty Mahomes the third, you know.
Literally, and it was just weird. But eventually, they picked it back up, and they almost won the whole entire division or the whole entire conference, which was very shocking to see. But however, after seeing Patrick Mahomes play the last 3 years in playoffs and absolute kill it, how it's just like Tom Brady, how it's kind of hard to bet against them, especially against the Bills. But I think Patrick Mahomes is probably the number 1 young quarterback in the league right now, and his tandem of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill is just hard to beat. The defense finally picked it back up enough to finally, hey, we're still here to play.
That's a good little headline for this game. Is like the battle between like probably the 2 best young
quarterbacks, 100%. Because you see like a young quarterback out of like, oh my God, you see a young quarterback on each side because you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Josh Allen, and then you have the next comer up, Joe Burrow. And then you have Ryan Tannehill. He's always been that underrated quarterback in this league. And then you also... Oh, sorry. I also forgot to mention, I have the Chiefs beating the Bills 42-38. I think it's going to also be a very high-scoring game.
Similar to what I was
Similar to
thinking,
you. That's why...
Different team, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you got Ryan Tannehill. He's a very underrated quarterback. He can still do the job really well. And you also have that in Matt Stafford when he was with Detroit. He was always known as a very underrated quarterback. He's proven a little bit more... He's more than that with the Rams. Then you still have the old guys like Aaron Rodgers will always be there, and Tom Brady.
100%, yeah.
And then Jimmy Garoppolo because he kind of had an off year with the 49ers. And yeah, that's personally what I believe would happen in the in the divisional round. So I'm very excited to see what will happen
These
tomorrow.
are going to be some exciting games. I'm excited to like follow them, watch them. And, hey, we can maybe do a review or 2 or something.
Ooh, I would love to because we're definitely going to do predictions on the AFC and MSC conference finals because that should be a fun one.
You know what? I can't wait to, like, in the podcast, come back to these predictions and be like how right or how wrong we are. I feel like I'm going to be pretty wrong on these, but...
when we probably do the NFC and AFC predictions, we'll obviously review what we've been saying right now, and I think it will be really fun for us to do other sports just like this. So if there's any other kind of sports that you guys kind of want us to get into and talk about, just let us know in the comments and we'll have a good discussion about it and see what happens. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to our first episode of talking about other stuff other than puck. And Tristan and I... Greatest title. Tristan and I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a good night. And before you leave, I would love if you guys just leave a like and a subscribe. That would be much appreciated to T-Dog and I. And I hope you guys have a good night. Tristan, you got anything to say?
Well, I'm a bit of a noob at this football stuff, so I'll keep learning. But I enjoy it, so we'll keep talking about it. And hey, gotta try something new every day, right?
Something new every day.
Exactly. All right, everyone, have a good rest of your night, and we will talk to you guys later.